I know marketers love a call to action, but honestly, that's really not the focus of these videos. This is brand awareness. This is increasing your visibility. This is building trust. You can have a call to action, but don't make that a substantial part of the video or you're going to lose them.
Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Britney Crosson. If you don't know who Britney is, she is a short-form video expert who helps passionate marketers and entrepreneurs stand out and make a bigger impact. She's founder of Fun Love Media, a creative agency that specializes in organic video content, and her event is called Social Success. Britney, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. This is so cool.
I'm excited that you're here. Today, Britney and I are going to explore how to create short-form videos that people love to share so you can improve your engagement and your exposure. Now, before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit about your story. How in the world did you get into video? How did you get into marketing? Start wherever you want to start.
All right. It's been a fun ride. I have been a performer since I was a child. I'm talking dance lessons at 3 years old and from there in small town Texas. And I always loved being in front of an audience. And the plan was to go to Hollywood and go to Broadway and do all those things. And basically, life happens and things don't quite always go as we plan. That's an understatement, right? And I started a family and I still hadn't done these big things that I wanted to do. And that's whenever I discovered social media a long time ago, back in the MySpace days. And to me, it was like this big virtual stage. I loved it and I still love it so much. And that's where all of this began. And I started teaching myself how to navigate social media and what it even meant and how to create things and all of that stuff. And just went through that whole journey over the last, what has it been, more than 20 years since MySpace, right? And it got to where people I knew were asking me for help and advice because they knew I loved it so much. And, business owner friends and things like that. And they said, can I just pay you a little bit of money? Just do this for me. I don't know how to do this, And I would be like, okay, no problem, And so I did. And I worked that way, kind of independently, freelance for a long time, doing things like social media management and, of course, creating content. But this was well before short form video was a thing. And fast forward a few years after that, and I thought, you know what, this is a thing. We're going to make it a business. We're going to lean into this and dive in. And so I created my company, Fun Love Media. And that was back at the beginning of 2019, whenever I made it all official and brought us to short form video and TikTok and Reels and, all these things. And it's just been so much fun because I can understand it from the perspective of being in front of the camera and being in front of the audience and help my clients get better at that and feel more confident and feel better about themselves and their business when they're creating.
So tell me a little bit more about the journey starting obviously pre-COVID with a marketing agency that was focused on video. Like, how did you dial in really the short form stuff? And what was that experience like for you as you were starting to sell those services to other people?
Well, with social media, when you work in this world, you really have to be flexible. Things change often, as we all know, and you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to learn new skills. You have to be able to adapt. And thankfully, I learned all of that from my dad growing up in the family business. I learned a lot of stuff like that, how to handle it, how to handle whenever things change. And thank you, Dad. And that's what we did. When I started, video was really a small part of social media, if any, for a lot of businesses, right? And as I started to discover, really initially probably TikTok, it's something I went, okay, I can do this. I know how to do this myself. Therefore, I can help other people how to do this. And then we went into, of course, Reels and so on and so forth. And we just are having to always, like I said, be flexible and learn, but also then translate into how is that going to help our customers? How is that going to help our clients? And lead them and build that trust so that they know that we're there to guide them through it.
Awesome. Okay. So there's plenty of marketers and creators that are listening right now. And the concept of creating a short form video that is shareable, which is what we're really here to talk about today. Why is this so important? Said another way, if they pay attention to what we're going to be teaching today, what's the upside? What is possible when people create shareable short form video?
Shareable short form video is going to increase your visibility. Bottom line, that's what it's going to help you do. It's going to help get more eyeballs on you, on your brand, on your business. Because when people share, more people see it. And it can be any amount. It may be 20 more people or 2,000 more people. Whatever level you're at numbers wise is kind of irrelevant. It's just about increasing it and getting more eyeballs on your brand. So when people share it, that's what you're going to get. And if that's part of your needs and you want to make that part of your social media strategy, which a lot of people do, then I highly recommend doing this.
Yeah, I like this a lot because right now we're in, the reality in this late summer of 2025 as we're recording this in August, where it's getting harder and harder for our social posts to be seen on all the major social platforms. And if we can create video, short form video that people actually like to share, right? Like they send it through DM or they repost it, depending on, whatever platform they're on. All of a sudden that's like free exposure, right? Because it's not an algorithm doing it, it's a human doing it. And when a human shares a video with another human, that is something that is like next level. And humans share videos with people that are like them, right? So all of a sudden you're starting to get in front of this audience that you might not have been able to get in front of any other way. And it's completely free. It's called good old fashioned word of mouth, right? And that is really, really valuable today. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
It's so true. It really, a lot of these things have been around for years and years and years and years. It's just that we, again, as I said earlier, we have to figure out new ways to do it. We have to be flexible and learn and go with the technology. And so, yeah, word of mouth in business, it's huge. Like it's always been a thing. This is not new, but we're doing it in this new, cool way. So we're meeting people where they're at. Oh, they're scrolling on social media. Cool. That's where we're going to be.
Love it. Okay. So, before we get into like how to create shareable short form video, there's plenty of people that aren't even creating short form video, let alone creating shareable short form video, because maybe they're just scared of it, or they're more long form, or maybe they're written word, or maybe they're who knows what, using images still on Instagram. So what do you want to say? What do people need to think about? Let's talk about like any kind of mindset shifts or any kind of baseline foundational stuff that we need to level set everybody for before we get into how we actually do this.
Yeah, that's really important. The mindset of it all. It's pretty deep. I always say that social media is like a therapeutic, deep work thing, honestly, if somebody's really going to commit and lean into it. And one of those things that you want to make sure you're going to do for yourself, because this is for you, for your greater good, when you're going to be creating all of this short form video, is don't overthink things too much. Now, I'm not saying to throw caution to the wind and be reckless and put up horrible looking content. You absolutely don't want to do that. And that's completely understandable. But you have to have some sort of boundary of hesitating and overthinking. And, I always say don't let it turn into procrastination, right? Don't let preparation turn into procrastination. And so what you're going to do is you're going to set yourself a goal and say, I'm going to prepare for just this much. But then we're going to go for it and not overthink it. Because bottom line is that at first, if you haven't really been sharing video much, not that many people are going to see it right at the start. And actually, it's kind of a good thing, because then it kind of gives you a little rehearsal time.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that. Inside of my company, we have a guiding principle we call, which is published is better than perfect. Yeah. And we believe that because if I'm intellectually honest, when you run a media company, there's a certain level of quality that we try to aspire towards, but it can become paralyzing, especially when you're doing something new. And the idea behind publish is better than perfect is just get it out there, because you're robbing people of the opportunity, and you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to continuously get your chops and get the improvement, right? So I love what you're saying about not overthinking it, because there's a lot of marketers who work for people that have extremely high standards, like me. I'm one of those employers. And it's it can be paralyzing because you want to seek for perfection, and it's just not something that's healthy at the beginning, right?
Right. It's very true. And I understand, like I said, that you want to have some sort of preparation. Of course you do, but you cannot let that go on and on and on forever. And you have to also remember that we are our own worst critics, especially when we're on camera. I mean, honestly, even me, somebody, I've been doing this kind of stuff since I was a child, being in front of audiences. I still have had to just come to grips and have those moments where I was like, you know what, Brittany, that's just what your eyebrow looks like. Okay. Just accept it.
Okay.
We're so hard on ourselves, right? And so that's where that comes in, because then we'll start judging ourselves and worrying that other people are judging us and what we look like on camera and all this. So the sooner you can break free of that crazy cycle, the better.
Yeah, there was a couple other things about the quantity and maybe the language and stuff that we need to be talking about. So that we were talking in prep. If you could address that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Also, you want to set yourself up for success as far as like sustainability. You want to make sure that you are creating content in a way that you can actually keep doing it, because this is like an indefinite thing. Okay. We might be doing it forever. And you want to make sure that you can, because those of us that keep going and don't quit, we're the ones that win. So you want to make sure and set yourself up with, like, say, look, reasonably, when I start out, can I do one video a week? Yes, I can do one video a week. Do it and stick to it. And then you can increase it in a couple of months. But you have to find something that you're actually going to follow through on, because not only is that obviously going to be good because you're getting that content out there, but also it's going to build your confidence. Because when we do what we tell ourselves we want to do, our confidence increases.
Yeah. And then talk to me about the language that we ought to use when we're making the videos, because that's something that when we were prepping, you said was really important, as far as like use the language that describes the viewer. What does that mean?
Oh yeah, you want to start thinking about, and this is about, when you're planning how what your videos are going to be like, especially because we're going to talk about them being shareable. You want to think about, who's the viewer? Who are you aiming for? Who do you want to see this? What are the things about them? You might be somebody that likes to create an actual avatar and like give them a name. That's cool. However you want to handle it, but you've got to think about the viewer, because it's really about them. It's about all of this content resonating with them. So what are they like? What do they talk like? What do they think like? And because once you can really connect with that, then you can do all these other things that we're going to talk about in the process.
Love it. I'm in a mastermind with a bunch of guys that I've been in a mastermind with for like forever. And we were talking this week about how many of them are targeting people who were where they were just a little while ago. You know what I mean? On topic X, take topic X, whatever it was. They're targeting people that are exactly like them, but maybe like a year behind them. And for them, that's so easy because they know themselves better than anybody else, right? So for anybody that's listening to this right now that wants to be known for something that maybe hasn't figured it all out, you could just speak to that older version of yourself. I mean, that younger version of yourself. And that makes it so much easier because you understand all the language and all that kind of stuff. All right, so we spent some good time here talking about a couple key things. Number one, do not overthink this before you get started. Number two, pick a cadence that can work with your schedule. And maybe it's once every 2 weeks, whatever it is, it's got to be something that you're not setting yourself up for failure. And the last thing is make sure when you do hit record that you know the language of that ideal person you want to reach. Okay, so now we're getting into the functional side of this. Let's talk about how do we actually create shareable video. Let's start by defining what the heck it is and why it's so important. And then maybe we can just go from there.
Sure. Shareable short form video content is anything that's like what we're seeing on when we're scrolling, the 9:16 tall vertical video, right? And it's something that someone would want to share with someone else, whether they repost it in their feed, whether they share it in the DMs, they share it to their stories, they copy the link and send it to somebody, they're sharing it. And that's the whole goal here, to increase that visibility. So that's what shareable content is. And you have to give them a reason to want to share it. And that's where all of these tactics and things come into play. The whole thing about describing your viewer, like thinking about who they are. Once you know all these things, you're going to get better at creating stuff that person would want to share with someone else. And the reason why it's so important is because, and the reason why it's going to increase your visibility is because, one, yes, the person they send it to sees it. So that's great. That's more people, whether it's to their feed or to an individual. That's wonderful. You have more people that now know about your brand. Also, it's kind of like this vote of confidence, if you will, for the platform, because they see, oh, this video is being shared. That must mean that it's good. It has value. So we're going to show it to even more people. And that can start, increasing the momentum and start this kind of snowball thing to where it just gets shown to more people through the algorithm, but also through the sharing. So it all works together for the same goal.
Can you give us an example? I know we were talking about an orthodontist example, just so people can wrap their brain around like, all right, how in the world do I create a video that someone would want to share? Because that sounds daunting, to be honest with you.
And it's understandable that it could feel daunting, and I get it. It's definitely a skill that you're going to develop over time. You've got to try some things out. The orthodontist jams is a great example. It's a simple, easy to understand example. It's something that I've been doing in my personal brand in videos this year, and I'm basically using nostalgic music. It's like easy listening soft rock from the 80s and 90s, and I'm using that as the music of the video. I, as a performer, I'm like lip syncing, dancing, having fun, right? Because that's just part of my brand. Everybody's going to be a little different. But the text on the screen tells the story and also helps make it more shareable. And it says, songs that we first heard as kids at the orthodontist that hit even harder now that we're in our 40s. Meaning, we love it even more. Like, this song is so great, right? And it gets shared like crazy because, one, I have made sure that the nostalgic music is in play. So if music is a part of your brand and it matters, really think about that and be strategic about the music that you choose, because it matters and it can really make a world of difference. And the fact that we can even do that and use music on these platforms is very exciting. And then also you want to, that's where I was.
Okay, so what you were saying is that the music is really important.
Thank you.
And
right, and then the words on the screen. Thank you. Yep. So that tells that story. What story does that tell? In one little phrase, it tells the story of, like, first of all, my age. I've told you my age, and I've also identified the person watching, their age. Awesome. So we have that in common. We're from the same time frame. And then also the fact that we were all at the orthodontist because that was very common back then. And everybody can then feel what I'm feeling. They envision, like, we were there, we were 12 years old, and we sat in that freaking chair for like an hour and a half or something. And we heard this music, and it's this shared experience, this shared human connection. So not only are they going to want to share it because they relate to it and you're speaking for them basically as well, not just me, but it's also like fun and it helps humans connect. And whenever humans connect with you and your brand, then they're going to build more trust and people buy from people that they trust.
Okay, so in this particular case, just so I completely understand this, you're creating like a 30 or 60-second video that has a music track and no spoken track. It's just text on the screen. Is that right?
Right. In this case, it's no spoken track. I mean, you can do it with speaking, but this example, yeah, it's just music.
And you're just, the words that you're putting up there are telling a story. Mm-hmm. And tell us the flow of the story again, just so people can process that in their brain.
So I've identified something about myself. Okay. I've identified something about the audience, the viewer, right? I've already identified age because I've already said I'm in my 40s.
Right.
And then I've also identified an experience, a shared experience that a lot of people have. So that's going to like evoke some sort of emotion. It doesn't have to be sad emotion. It can be happy, whatever kind of emotion. And then it's also like enjoyable and fun and representative of this moment in time. So it makes someone want to share. When someone really enjoys content, they want someone else to see it. We've all done it before.
Okay. So there are people listening right now that are like, okay, that's cool. But like, I am not in the business of, orthodontistry or whatever the heck it is, right? And this doesn't sound like you are either, right? So help people like that are marketers understand how in the world they could apply that to their business. Does that make sense?
For sure. You're going to do these same things. It's just that your videos are going to end up looking a little bit different, right? Probably. So you are going to identify something about yourself, about your business, about your brand, whatever you have decided to let those standout things be about your business. What are your principles? What stands out? What do people know you for? Or what do you want to be known for? You have to identify something about your brand, your business. And then you also are identifying something about the viewer. You have something in common. There has to be a common ground there. Otherwise, Otherwise, the whole thing is lost. And then you're going to go from there as far as whether it's music or talking or whatever. But I could use another example of like a grocery store, right? Because we can also use the music example with that. I could give you a couple of examples, but with a grocery store, somebody could say, okay, we want more eyeballs on our brand. We're trying to grow our chain of grocery stores, and they could use the music thing. Do grocery stores have fun music? Yes, they do. We all know that. So, you're using that. Maybe it's entertainment and we're going in the aisles, we're grabbing the things, we're tossing them in the cart, we're doing a little dance, whatever it is. But you think about the way that people feel and then help them feel that through your video and relate it to whatever kind of business that you have.
What I like about what you're saying is you're taking an experience that's a shared experience by a subgroup, right? An audience. Like, for example, moms obviously go to the grocery store maybe more than dads do, So it would be a perfect if you're trying to connect with moms, right? And you have a grocery store chain, this could be something that is entertaining, but also conveys an experience that has some levity to it. It sounds like, and some fun to it, which kind of gets them to want to share it. And you could come at it from a million different angles, and we're going to unpack some of that next. So let's break down like the different parts of this. Let's start with the hook. And I want you to explain why that's so important. We've talked about hook extensively on this show, but you have a unique perspective given your background in entertainment and all the other things. So talk to us about the hook and give us whatever we need to understand about why that is so important when it comes to short form video.
The hook is crucial with short form video because we only have like 2 seconds to get someone's attention right now. And if we don't, they're going to keep scrolling. And it's a lot of pressure. I understand. But if you will do a few things, and again, you're going to get better at it over time. But if you do these few things, you think about a hook, you think about a visual hook, an audio hook, a text hook, a spoken hook, and you can use that in different ways. It can be movement. It can be movement into the frame, right? Immediate movement. That helps catch attention. Sometimes when you're speaking in the video, maybe you tell like what we would call the punchline or the end result first to grab the attention, the way that it is like on a news headline, right? You're kind of treating it that way. And then you go, and now let me explain. Right. So you want to have words, you want to have sounds, you want to have movement, something to get that attention in the first 2 seconds. You cannot start with, hey guys, I'm here to. Absolutely not. You lost them. They're done. They're gone.
Okay. So let's break it down. Let's start with movement because that's fascinating to me. Yeah. So tell me some of the things that you've done or that you've done with some of your clients specifically to kind of create that motion and movement to stop the scroll.
Right. We can actually use my hair salon client as an example here in a couple of different ways, especially with hooks, is the visual of the movement. Okay. For example, we have a video where it's literally just walking. She's walking through the hair salon, and it's a very well lit hair salon, which is very helpful. It looks lovely. Things are clean and nice, and we're here at this beautiful place, but she's walking and she's moving. She's not just standing here doing nothing with her arms by her side. That is all we did. It's that simple. She walked, right? So we have that visual.
And so people can visualize it. She's holding the phone in her hand while she's walking kind of thing, or someone filming her, like just so
yeah, we were filming her and she's walking and she's just checking on a salon client. And so we see that movement. We see a beautiful setting. We see that it's a hair salon. So that right there makes it all recognizable. Oh, this must be about a hair salon. Boom, like in the first half a second. We know that. So we've already told part of the story just because we're at the beautiful hair salon, right? And then we're going to use the text on screen. In this case, we did, and it got her 1 million+ views actually on this video. And the whole bold thing about her story, because we want to share bold things, that's what's going to help that hook and get that attention, is that she's had a successful salon for 20+ years, yet she's never ever been a hairstylist ever. This is bold. This is unusual. This is intriguing. It's like, what? She's not a hairstylist. How is she doing this? So between the fact that we have a beautiful on-brand setting, well lit, she's walking by, we have the movement, so we have all the visuals, we have the on-screen text explaining that part of her story. And then of course we always try to use some sort of background music or audio that would make sense and that would help enhance the whole experience for the viewer.
Just to help, because obviously we don't have this in front of us. Where is the camera on the subject? Are we seeing her from behind as she's walking through to show that she's like in charge? Is it, do you have her face in the video and you can kind of see the salon behind her? Like, how are we framing that just so people understand that?
That's a great question. We do see her face. We like to see faces as often as possible. Humans like to see human faces. So yes, we see her face, but she's not looking at the camera. This is B-roll. This is her going and checking on a client. We see her face. We see her from the side. And that way we can recognize, oh, that's Natalie. Okay, we know who that is. We want to see a face when we can.
So when you guys are filming it, I would imagine you're kind of tilting to show more of the set behind her, right? Which is the salon, to show people in the chairs and to show that there's people cutting hair and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, what's in the frame really matters. And you can do this with your smartphone. I mean, really, it really makes a big difference. And so you're right. We made it to where you can make sure it was very obvious that she was in a hair salon. It was very clear. She walked up to a chair with someone sitting there and there's a mirror in front of that person. So you want to make it very clear, and your environment of the videos be on brand. And if you don't have a place like that, just think about your setting to make it be on brand to what you do. Maybe you don't have an office and you work out of your home. That's okay. So is nature more on brand for what your business does? Is that the vibe that you go, okay, great, go to the park, right? So just think about your setting, because that can make a huge difference.
Okay, so we've got the visual and the movement in our minds. The words and the music, talk to me a little bit about that part at the opening of the hook. Like, because you had mentioned previously that sometimes we share the end at the beginning. So how, in this case, did you put the words on the screen, or her spoken words, or the music at the beginning?
In this case, we started right off with saying that we got very specific too, because people like numbers. So if you can share numbers, awesome. We got very specific with saying how much revenue that they had done the previous year. It was like 2.5 million. And it was, but I'm not a hairstylist, or I've never been a hairstylist, right? So we have to make sure and put that, like I said, that kind of like news headline, that thing to catch attention. And then we did continue her story in the caption of the video for anyone that wanted to read further, of course. But it's important to have what's the headline, the bold statement on the screen.
And then what about the music? Was it just background music, or was it like actual lyrics, or what was it?
In this case, and in a lot of cases, we like to use trending audio. It's really, it's like, why not? If we don't have some sort of requirement of some other type for some reason for the brand, and we kind of have that creative freedom, we want to use trending audio. And we also want it to be something that is either recognizable or has that exciting start. Maybe it starts with a strong beat. Like, you're really thinking about all these pieces, like you're putting together your own little film.
Okay. How long did it take you to get the hook really dialed in? Is there a lot of editing here? I mean, is it just so people can understand the amount of work that actually goes into the hook?
A lot of work goes into it if you've never done this before, and especially if maybe writing is not your natural talent or ability. And that's okay, because we're not going to be naturally talented at everything we do.
I would imagine AI could help here though, right?
Of course, that can help you, of course. And also communicating with the client, or with yourself, with someone on your team, like really getting in tune with the words that make sense for you too, because they have to make sense for your brand, and then they have to represent your brand, right? So all of that matters. Just whatever you can to bring the forces together. Now, once you get good at it, you're good at it. It's an incredible skill to have, and you'll be able to use it indefinitely.
Okay, so the hook that we just talked about is relevant for any kind of short form video, whether you're creating shareable or non-shareable. So these are good principles, even for long form video for that matter. So now let's get into what comes after the hook, which I'm imagining is the story, because you've been alluding that there's a story that happens here that we're conveying. So talk to us about that, because there is an art to that as well.
There really is. And storytelling, when it comes to social media, especially short form video, because it is short, it doesn't have to be lengthy. We don't have to go into every single detail in this instance. This is really an introduction. It is a headline. It's that kind of thing. So give yourself a break if you're not writing out some long story on the screen, or you're not standing there in front of the camera telling some lengthy story. You know, with the orthodontist thing that I was talking about earlier, I really described a bit of a story in like one sentence. sentence. So you really want to edit yourself down when you're doing this storytelling, but it matters. So some sort of description of an experience of a person, that's how you're telling the story. And you're just cutting it down as much as you can. So that way it's not so much that honestly somebody keeps scrolling, because they will.
So tell us about, I mean, this is the critical part, because obviously the story has to be compelling enough to spur someone to want to share it, right? So maybe you can share with us the story, particularly we can continue with this salon example.
Right.
If you can remember, and if you can't, you can hypothesize what the story might have been, just so people can wrap their head around how to do that.
Right. Well, so we had the headline, we had the important part, the big bold part on the screen, talking about how she's never been a hairstylist, but she has a super successful hair salon, right? And we're building her up as a leader in the industry. That's the whole goal here, is to build up her brand in this instance. And then we continued the story below, but again, we're still not telling everything. This is a social media post. So like, it's not your website about page. So we continued on the story and just hit the highlights. We made sure that people understood what we meant. So we're kind of reiterating that. And then we're saying, but and we're expanding on what the salon has accomplished because of her efforts, because of her experience in all these years. And we continue it on below there. Also, an example would be for my own company. I could use the example of like what we started with when I was telling you my story, and then I'm a performer and I was headed for Hollywood and didn't. And here, and then here we are. But it made me really great at creating content. So I have this company now. So think about those bold parts of your story, those standouts of your business, of your brand, and then you're going to cut it down, highlight that on the screen, expand a little bit in the caption.
How long of a story are we telling? Because we know now short form video can be pretty long, actually. I mean, like TikTok is, I don't know, way over 3 minutes now, if I'm not mistaken, right? So like, how long do you recommend that these videos be, just so people have a sense of how much of a story you can tell here?
This is a tricky question. I mean, if you want to optimize and increase your chance of people actually watching the whole thing, then it needs to be shorter. Like 60 seconds is too long. It's too long if you really, really are really trying for visibility. Now, there's a place for a 60-second video, but that's not what we're talking about here. These where we're just trying to get the attention and start that relationship, introduce them to your brand. I really think they need to be like 15 seconds or less.
Okay. That's an important thing. So if it's 15 seconds or less, that changes everything, right? Because you don't have a lot of time to do a lot of things in 15 seconds. So everybody listening just freaked out a little bit. So help us understand, like, what do you choose to say in only 15 seconds? Like, cause that's not a lot of time, right?
Right. It's not a lot of time. That's why a lot of times when we use this method to help people increase their visibility, it is a lot of the time using B-roll with that background music, with the message being on the screen. To speak about something for less than not 16, it could be 16, 15 seconds is not easy. So it's understandable if that's a bit challenging for you. Use this other method of having on brand B-roll and then the background music and the messaging on the screen. But I think it's the skill that you're going to get. You're going to learn how to cut back. So if you are speaking, like I said earlier, don't do the, hey guys, I'm here too. Absolutely not. Immediately you're starting with the point. What's the point? Immediately. Don't worry. You don't have to introduce yourself in every single short form video. Hello, I'm Britney and I'm da-da-da. Absolutely. You don't have to do that. They'll go to your bio and they'll read your stuff, right? We're trying to get their attention. Dive right in when you're talking.
Okay, so a lot of marketers are listening right now and they're like, how do I get a call to action in here? What do you want to say to them?
I know marketers love a call to action, but honestly, that's really not the focus of these videos. This is brand awareness. This is increasing your visibility. This is building trust. You can have a call to action, but don't make that a substantial part of the video or you're going to lose them. You're not selling to people right now. You're not directly, we're always selling, but we're not directly selling to people right now. If you need to have a specific call to action, it's okay. Have it at the end. Have it, written on the screen. Have it in the caption of the post. Have it there somewhere if you absolutely need to, but that's not the point of these videos. The call to action really is to get someone to be interested in more and to hit follow or to re-engage if they haven't been very engaged in your content recently, and to like, share, and do all these things and interact and continue to see your content. That's really the point of this.
I want to circle back to kind of the kinds of stories we can tell and the why behind these stories, because I feel like this is useful to unravel this with you and with our audience right now. If we only really are aiming for 15 seconds, then it would seem to me that we have to pick the best stories that we could tell. And it would seem to me that we could go back and look at everything we've ever posted in the past and look at the stuff that got the most engagement. Do you want to talk a little bit about how to hunt for the best stories? Because I feel like that's going to be really important, right?
It is important. That's a really great idea. You go back to what you've already posted. If other kinds of things, it doesn't even have to be video. If you wrote some really great posts that have the stories in it, that describe your business, that describe your journey, describe your personality, whatever you want to talk about. Yes, go back and look at that stuff. See what did perform well. And also if it felt good to you, like just talking about that thing, then cool. Those are your winners. That's what you want to go with. And it's really about, it's about sharing that experience.
Is it almost said overcoming? It's like
Yeah.
it seems like we're sharing things that are like life lessons or business lessons or lessons for the audience or things that deeply connect with them that are not necessarily the obvious things that your director of marketing might want you to share. You know what I'm saying?
Very true. So your director of marketing, tell him to give me a call and we'll talk it out. It'll be fine. But yeah, no, you really want to have that connection. So think about what is that viewer thinking. So if you are an orthodontist office, what are your patients like? Think about things through their lens. What would they want to share? Or the grocery store, the hair salon, whatever it is. Like it has to be something that you are helping to represent them for them to want to share it, right? So that's why people want to share the orthodontist jams. Well, I'm not making it all about me. That's a huge mistake people make on social media. It's not the Britney show. It's a Britney show, but it's not the Britney show. And it's not about me. It's about me sharing something that will resonate with them that then they want to go and spread the word about.
So when you're meeting with your clients, how in the world do you get to the bottom of what story you should tell? Because that is a fascinating thing, right?
It is. And it's really actually very interesting. I highly recommend having sessions where you can listen, just zip your mouth and listen to them. And it's going and help guide them, help them feel comfortable to talk to you because you need to have that trust with them, of course. And they're going to end up sharing enough and you're going to take your notes and you're going to start piecing it together. But really, like I said, think of the word bold, just because that's a good one to think about, like standout moments in their journey in building the business, or a certain experience with a client of theirs that was really special or really life-changing. Those specific stories you can also tell. And you're going to spend that time listening. Like I said, I've learned very well over the years that if I sometimes just zip it, maybe we could all take that advice and listen to other people. We're going to learn a lot and let them just start to flow.
Okay. So, let's go over what we've talked about so far. We started with the hook and we talked about how it's really important to have that motion and movement and those right words on the screen at the beginning of that story. Sometimes it's the punchline. Sometimes it's the outcome. Like she built a multi-million-dollar business and she's never been a hairstylist, something along those lines, right? Yeah, she owns a hair salon. And then we talked about how it's really important to tell a story. And that connects with that audience. And we've talked a lot about how to craft that story a little bit here. And we've talked that there's no call to action. And then we shocked everyone with like, you have 15 seconds. And I go back to Vine and it was 4 seconds or whatever it was back in the day. Like, so it can be done, people. Trust me. It's just like we're used to having a little bit more time. So now what I want to do is layer in the people that are listening have to sell this to their boss, or they have to sell it to themselves. They have to make the mental connection on how in the world they can either integrate their brand or their product into this in some way that's going to benefit them. So I want to talk about like, how can we represent our company in shareable content in some sort of a way that does ultimately help the branding for the business?
Right. Yeah. Good question. There's several different things you can do. One of them, there's speaking of orthodontics. I don't know why this keeps happening, but there is actually a real business like that that's really just gone viral all over social media, and they're creating entertaining content, but they are always in uniform, if you will. They have their scrubs. They have the company logo on their stuff. They're at the place of business. I mean, we're naturally seeing things about the business, and these guys are like dancing and singing and whatever, right? They're not doing anything about dentistry whatsoever.
They're just doing it in the setting that is obvious.
It's
right?
obvious. It's obvious as to what they're wearing, where they're at. And of course, the name of the account, they have all their information in the bio and all that, like they should. So you at least could have those visuals. So if you are that kind of a business or brand where the team is willing to lean in the entertaining direction, cool, but do those little things. Make sure you're at the place of business. Make sure you can see the logos and things on your clothes and your surroundings. And that's going to help tie it together to like, who the heck are these people?
I like that. And then I also like the fact that the account that it's coming from, obviously, you know, it helped me process this. Like, you see a really cool video that someone shared with you. Like, what's the process that somebody might go through on the receiving side of that? Maybe they go to see who in the world did that, and then they check out all the other stuff that
yes, and that's what you want. So the point of this, again, this whole thing of shareable short form video is to get attention, is to grow visibility, grow, you know, your brand awareness, right? And to introduce people, welcome people in this cool way on social media. And then, yes, you want them to go to the bio, to the account, to the descriptions, to the links in your, you know, all these things. You want to have all that all set up and optimized beautifully, because as you're getting the attention, they need to have somewhere to go. And you want them to engage and follow. Yes, we want them to follow, but let me back up. You also really want this engagement, because the more someone engages with your account's content, the more of your content they see. And as they continue to see your content, then they will also see those other pieces that aren't these things. The more in-depth content, the longer videos, the things that are more descriptive, the things that are a little bit more educational maybe, right? So you want that to get them kind of like in your sphere. So that way, then it leads them to all the things you want them led to in your marketing funnel.
So, question, if we think about a pie chart, what percentage of the short form video that we're creating is this shareable content we're talking about? Is it 100%? Is it 50%? Is it 25%? What are your thoughts on this?
That's a good question. Wow. You know, it does depend on the goals. It always has to depend on the goals. If you're really if you're doing good on sales right now, you've got like a good sales process going and your numbers are looking good there, but maybe they're lacking on the brand awareness and building your authority and your leadership and all these things, then increase the percentage of how many of these you do. Cause this is what you're going to do, is get more eyeballs on you. Right. So I would say, at least 50% of your stuff should be that, if you're really focusing on this, if you're focusing on growing the brand and people seeing you. But if you're not, then you can decrease it to as low as you want to, depending on your situation. I would just say that, for example, we can use regular numbers. If somebody says, well, we post 3 times a week, period, like whatever kind of post it is, they do it 3 times a week. Okay, just maybe one of those is shareable, and the others are more like long, in-depth content.
I love it. Okay, any tips on recording these things? Because obviously, you know what you're doing, and a lot of people might just be starting out with this kind of thing, and the idea of them being in motion and all this kind of stuff. So any tips you have on like recording would be very valuable.
Definitely explore batching your content. I'm sure you've all heard this before, but in this instance, because these videos are short and because you want to have quantity, you want to have quality, but you also want to have quantity, you really want to be efficient with your time. So if you can sit down and spend, an hour and a half and create 5 videos, or, whatever your number, whatever your goal is, that's really the best way to do this. And that way you have it set. And again, like we said earlier, then you're going to be consistent. You're going to actually follow through. You're going to build your confidence, and you're going to do what you said you were going to do. So I would say batching your content is great. If you need to change your outfit for the first 3 videos, that's fine too, or not, whatever works for you. But go ahead and have your plan and shoot. Try to avoid just doing 1 video at a time. It might drive you nuts if you're like shooting a video every single day.
when we record, should we have the script already figured out, even if we're not going to be speaking? Should we have the concepts kind of thought through, even if it's going to all be a lot of words on the screen and music? Like, help us with that a little bit.
Yes, you definitely want to have a plan. Like, we like to make a shot list. I mean, really, that's what we call it, is a shot list, and it's just a list of all the things that we need to capture, right, in that situation. So go ahead and do that and organize it however fits you and your personality and how you like to work. But definitely have some sort of preparation. So if you like, just more of an outline, more of like brief descriptions, and then you can kind of be creative from there in the moment, and you're comfortable with that. Cool. But if you need it to be an actual script written out, and you know that that's going to help you, do that. Like, set yourself up for success, and you know the way that your brain works. And if you don't, in this instance, it's okay. Try a couple things and you'll figure it out real fast what you do and you don't like when you're creating these kinds of videos.
Britney Crosson, thank you for sharing your insights and answering my litany of questions today. If folks want to connect with you on the socials and maybe check out some of your work, where do you want to send them? And then if they're interested in possibly working with you, where should they go?
Definitely go to funlovemedia.com. That is my creative marketing agency, and you can learn more about what we do, and you can set up a call with me and we'll hang out and we'll talk about your social media and get it all figured out. You can also follow Fun Love Media on all platforms. You can follow me on all platforms, especially if you want to have fun and talk about some good music. Britney Crosson everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it, I'm there.
Thank you so much, Britney.
Thank you, Michael.